Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes, to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together.
Hey, leader. We are so excited to be back with you this week. And with us today, we have Leah Notariani. I really hope I said that correctly, Leah. And she is a transformational speaker and business mentor, and she just had her TED go live. So congratulations, Leah. I was looking at that earlier. And what's exciting about Leah is that she's all about the neuroscience and really unpacks and uncovers that and supports her clients just like us. So we're so excited that she's here, as the co-founder and CEO of Legacy and Leverage, which, I love those. Those are juicy words, where she supports industry leaders to master their science of transformation and leverage and scale their expertise through live events, group programs, and certifications so they can create a greater impact in the world. And what's really unique about Leah is that she went from being a broke single mom to 7+ figure business owner. And she uses her experience to support high achievers, just like you, to heal from their story, make a massive impact, and get into alignment with the life they actually want to be living. And this is something that is close to my heart. And I think Carol as well in her bio is that she is also a mother of 3 and is often found chasing sunsets with her daughters and spending time with her family, which is so important to both Carol and myself and to the listeners. And yeah, let's unpack that a little bit further, Leah, like your journey, your experience, what you've learned along the way, and supporting our listeners and those especially who are moms, and helping them really thrive in their life and the impact that they're creating on the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. I think, when I think about business and I think about motherhood, I think my journey, starting my business as a single parent and as a mother, it took me on a totally different trajectory than somebody who's maybe just starting out. And there's no right or wrong. It's just that I knew when I started that journey that it was going to look different. So it's like, if I was going to hike a mountain, it was a sunny mountain, I would want a hat. I would want my sunscreen. I would want all these things. So like, I felt like I prepared as much as I could, knowing that my journey was going to look different than other people's. I think sometimes when we're looking at the obstacles or challenges or perceived challenges, one might say even an opportunity in front of you to actually innovate and do things differently. I think motherhood actually allowed me to innovate my business in a different way, to the point that after 6 years, I renamed my business Legacy and Leverage, because I understood the power of leverage. I understood that the constraints or perceived constraints in my life actually created some of my biggest impact and needle movers in my business, which was really powerful.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I just want to pause on that a minute. I think it's such a huge point because, we can get easily caught up in our circumstances. And we talk a lot here about being able to believe and see beyond the circumstances. But you're actually pointing directly to those circumstances and saying those constraints that you experienced were some of your biggest advantages when you were able to look back and connect the dots. And I think that's really incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like sometimes when you're looking at your life and you're looking at the external circumstances, I think it's so important for all of us to see beyond them, but also to look at the opportunities. It gives you an unfair advantage. When you think that if everybody has something different and you have something that's so unique, you have a unique circumstance right in front of you, it's like, how can I do this different than anybody else? How can I trailblaze a new way and create something different that I actually want to be doing. And I think for me, looking for the silver lining in all of it, looking for the opportunity, connecting to your dreams, connecting to your vision, connecting to who you are within that, and finding a new path. I mean, I think that's where character is built. That's where the resilience and the confidence and the ability to go out into the world and actually pursue your dreams and do the things that you want to do actually comes to life.
Yeah, I love that invitation to lean in and to look at those opportunities, right? It's so
Yeah.
easy because we've operated up to a certain point
Right.
to continue to go on that path. And I know just being, in the leadership room, it's always the areas with the resistance or those breakdowns
Mhm.
happen that really the breakthroughs on the other side of that. And so, yeah, I love how the invitation is to kind of flip and at a different angle to look at, okay, here is the situation and how do I get to use this to actually fuel what I'm creating versus seeing it kind of, more impeding on what you're trying to create. So I just love that you're starting off with that and just the invitation to the listener just to look at, instead of it being like, oh, this like frustration, wherever that
Right.
frustration is being created, look at that as opportunity to completely shift it and like, this is information and how do I change this? So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
beautiful angle to lean in on.
I don't know about you, but I really needed to hear this today. It's so
Mhm.
interesting to me the way we really are in the exact right place at the exact right
Right.
time,
Mm.
receiving what we need, even when it looks like an obstacle or a constraint or a breakdown. It
Right.
really is meant for us because, this is something where you just immediately reminded me and caused me to step back and pause and reflect and go, okay, I'm feeling this and I'm experiencing this, and shifting immediately to see, oh, this is my advantage. This is my power. This is what I get to really celebrate. I
Right.
just, yeah, super powerful right from the get-go, Leah.
Oh,
I
thank you.
I'd love to unpack maybe a little bit further and for you to share a little bit, like what were some of the lessons and where are some of the
Mhm.
things that you like, because that's sort of what life looked like for you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
What were some of the decisions that you then made to stay in alignment with that, to move forward and then creating, right? Like I'm mindful of not saying like constraints, but in some ways, you whatever that got to look like for you.
So I think for me, there's this amazing opportunity to step into vision. So for me at that time, there was a lot of breakdown happening in my life, and which led me to actually moving countries, immigrating with my two girls, and starting a new life here in the US. And I moved from a small town in Canada and came to LA. And I just remember that time in my life. There was so much going on. I just got a divorce. My stepfather just passed away of cancer. And I was just in this space of really deeply connecting to the meaning of life.
Mm,
What am I really here for? Is poverty all there is? Is this town that I grew up in all that there is?
Mhm.
And I've seen too much and I've felt too much to know that there's way more to life than this.
Yeah.
And it was in those micro decisions of changing my mindset and connecting to myself and what I actually wanted in my life and that vision beyond my current external circumstances. It's like we're the creators in our life. And if we can't see beyond our current circumstances, then we'll never create beyond them. So
Right.
it's so important for us to step into a level of vision. But for me, it's like this beautiful connection that we get to have, and you birth a new vision into the world. And that going back to decisions is like, oh my gosh, I learned a lot of lessons on what not to do. And I think I failed more times than I have succeeded. And so many lessons have come, like the big ones for me in that path has been, you know, never abandoning myself for no
mm,
matter what it is. I think I was in a pattern at that season of my life that I was just doing everything for everyone all of the time. And it's like, well, the marriage didn't work out. This didn't work out. This is not like happening. And family used to be this, but it's not this anymore. And here I am with two kids. It's like, well, who am I beyond mom? Who am I
Mm.
beyond this role that I've always played? Who am I beyond? How can I see myself in the way that God, the universe, the divine sees me? Can I tap into that frequency and energy? And for me at that time, I really realized that life is precious, life is short, and you're here for a reason and you're here for a purpose. And for me, that was the moment that I decided that no matter what, I was going to live an authentic life. I was going to live a life that was authentic and pure for me, no matter what it looked like. And that was the moment I realized this is not my town. This is not will I like where I will raise my children. And I literally sold everything I had. I had my
Wow.
cherry red Jeep pull out of the driveway and I sold my car. I sold everything in my house. I literally had a woman come and buy the curtains off of my windows. And I just remember like I stripped away every part of my old life and I packed up 5 bags, a stroller, and a car seat.
Wow.
And I jumped on a plane and moved to LA.
Man, I hear so much packed into this. You literally were it was the quality of the questions you were asking yourself
Right.
that led you to know that you were here for a purpose and a meaning that was not that,
Hmm.
and being willing to strip everything away. And one of the things that I've experienced and my clients have experienced is being willing to settle too often, and I don't even mean being comfortable, and Alex and I have talked about this. It can be a place of tension, but
Right.
it's still settling. It's still, and what gets wired in that process, I think, is this idea that we have to wait. We have to
Mm.
wait. We have to wait. And as nurturers, we give and we give and we give, and we're not taking back that authenticity that you lean into. And
Mm.
so I'd love if you would go deeper with us
Yeah.
in what that actually looked like, being even more true to yourself and more authentic, in
Yeah.
addition to stripping everything away and moving.
Oh my gosh. I just want to share, Carol, what you shared about um, just really understanding settling. And it's not necessarily like a point of major friction, but it's a space that you've decided at some level, whether it's conscious or subconscious, to stay the same and not to do the things that you want. One of the things that I've shared is there was a part of my journey that, you know, moving from poverty to 7 figures was a huge leap for me. And when I first hit that, I remember that I started playing not to win, but to not lose.
Mm.
Wow.
There's such a subtle difference in that,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
massive. And I realized that I started to let success become a little bit of a crutch for me to settle and not go for it and
Mm.
not put myself out there in the ways that I know that I could not make the amount of impact that I wanted to make. And I remember that moment in my life. It was 2 years ago. I was sitting in New York and I said, wow, I let my success become my crutch and I started to settle. And it
Mhm.
doesn't look like that from anyone else's standards, but it did for me, for mine. And I just wanted to share that. And sorry,
Yeah.
go back to your
We
original
were
question because that was
we were
super beautiful.
there
But
in we
yeah,
were in New York together at that
yeah,
time. I think that's the
yeah,
first time we connected, and
totally.
I just really appreciate that connection so much,
Yeah,
because, now having recognized that, my question was, take us even deeper on
right.
what the authenticity looked like.
Mm. For me, it was just recognizing all the people-pleasing tendencies, all
Mm.
the patterns that just kept me stuck and not like saying yes to opportunities that I didn't want to, saying not saying no, like my boundaries weren't as clear as they needed to be at that time in my life. And I recognize that in order for me to live a life that's actually true for me, then there has to be clear boundaries. I have to be connected to who I am. I have to see myself in the the way that I want to be seen. I can't just ask that of others. I have to hold that energy and that belief within myself. And it just allowed me to make decisions like moving countries at that time. And that was maybe 7, 8 years ago now. And I just remember all the flack that I got and all the judgments and all of the things. And I think in order to live an authentic life, for me, anyways, it meant that regardless of what other people feel about it, it's true for me.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's not my job to babysit other people's emotions around me living my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can you just
me
repeat that again? I was
Yeah,
like, can you repeat that
that's
again, Leah?
huge.
That's powerful.
yes,
Powerful.
it is not my job to babysit other people's emotions when I choose to live in my truth.
Wow. Wow. Incredible, right? Because,
Yeah,
how often do we allow other people to
right,
speak their truth over us? And
right,
especially when we can be in environments that we didn't, think we might be in. You
right.
might be talking to the airline agent. It might be a family member. It might be somebody you ran into, and
Yeah,
they're all of a sudden putting you in their box of the way that they see you. They're putting their
right.
perspective of their perceptions of you, and you're stifled. So
Mm,
for you to lean into your authenticity by going, no, I'm going to have the boundaries to know
right.
that I get to walk in my truth.
So I kind of want to like unpack it a little bit further and going, what was going on internally? Because we can say all
Right.
this and someone can nod their head like, oh yeah, I hear you. And
Yeah.
then there's the feeling in those moments
Yeah.
when, okay, you know what's on your heart, you know what you're aligned with, and yet you're receiving like from all of this external. So how do you
Mm,
stay in that place to stay fully aligned with that without getting I'm thinking of like a pinball
Yeah.
machine, basically, right?
right,
Like,
right,
is it
right,
right where you're getting like,
That's a
so,
great analogy.
yeah,
right.
right?
I think for me, it's like you have to build a sacred space within yourself that is
Mm.
your emotional home. It's like the deepest connection to who you are lives within that sacred space. And when you start to practice what that feels like in your mind, in your spirit, in your body, and in your gut, and in your belly, it's like, oh, I know what this feels like. I know what truth feels like literally feel in your body. There's a different level of connection when you have that. But for people that maybe like I was for years feeling really disconnected, I think the first step is going from disconnection to connection. So you know what you feel like, you know what your voice, your truth, your message, your authentic expression actually looks like without the patterns, without the models, without the pressure, without the facade of who you need to be in order to be loved and accepted, but the truth of who you actually are. And when you start to anchor that in, that becomes a practice and it goes from this is something that I do to this is who I am. And
Wow.
when you come from this is a place of who I am, there's a different energy and resonance that my truth doesn't need to defend itself. I don't need to share it. It's just as who I am. And I navigate the world with that energy. And it just becomes a space that I think is always there's always going to be invitations to reevaluate what you're holding on to and what you need to let go of at different seasons and levels in your life. Like the things that I did 7 or 8 years ago are different than the things that I do today. But the core and the foundation of that thread was laid during those times.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important to recognize that within ourselves.
Wow. That recognizing the disconnection. I was
Mm,
just having a deep conversation about that just recently with some people, and knowing how often we are in that place of disconnection with our emotions.
right.
And from a neuroplasticity perspective, the neuroscience is the study of the whole nervous system. It's not just the brain
Mm,
and our thoughts. The
right.
brain's a part of the nervous system. So our whole bodies are affected by our beliefs, by our thoughts plus
Right.
emotions. And you really took us deep there into our identity, which we talk a
Mm,
lot about, how
right.
important it is to get connected and then know who you are and what that feels like, which is affecting the whole body.
Yes.
And so that was super, super great. And I just want to lean into that. And then, you know, being able to walk in your truth through these little steps that are stacking one on top of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. There was something else you said now, and I've lost it, so I'll have to go back for just a minute because it was also incredibly powerful. So, if you're with me right now, if you're with us, please lean in because I was just picking up on something else as well that you
Well,
said.
I'm going to guess that it might have been when Leah talked about the I am piece,
Mhm.
right? She made a
Yeah.
declaration. She decided in advance. And then based on that being, right? Like you felt it inside of you. You
Right.
then, right, to make decisions and you took actions to create the result, which the result was you moving with your family and
Right.
taking them somewhere else. And then, starting that next chapter. And so I want to just reiterate to that because it's so easy to operate from a place of not that place, right? Like the constant
Yeah.
striving of whatever it is, of the vision, of the next
Yes.
thing
Oh,
versus just
yeah.
embodying this is who I am. And from this place of where I am,
Right.
I now get to now create that for the decisions and the actions I take to create that result. So I don't know if that was it, Carol, but I wanted to just revisit that because it's so I mean, what's coming to me is it's the be, do, have.
Yeah.
Right. And we operate so much time in the have, do, be, but it's really flipping it on its head and it's really starting in that place of being the
Right.
identity and that core. Like, I just love the invitation, Lee, that you mentioned, like it's creating that space to be in connection with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I mean, what the pilots or the right, the air stewardess, like you get to put your oxygen mask on first, and not just like when it comes to self-care and things like that, but really looking at what's important to you, your values and your vision, right? It's like you're either building your vision or you're building somebody else's vision. So that invitation just gets centered and to feel it. I mean, I just think it's so powerful because if just for a second, right, for just the moment, like as you start your day and come from that place, of course, it's totally going to impact. And what's, I'm a very visual person, so I'm getting a lot of visuals with this conversation.
I love it. It's so good.
It kind of creates this like protective barrier.
It does.
Where sure, people are going to come, have questions, whatever, but you're so embodied in what it is that you want. It's like your brain doesn't really hear it because it's already created the vision that you've declared that you're creating.
Right.
You had that internal place that you go to ground yourself and to recognize who you are.
Right.
And then you're also you're being the vision, like you're being who you need to be in order for that vision to occur. You're already at the next level when you're making those kind of decisions.
Right.
And
so
I love this.
I would love to loop back a little bit, something we talked about before we started recording, which was about like being mom and CEO and having your girls and really unpacking what that looks like maybe today and maybe it's changed over time, but that, you talked about like you love spending time with your family. Like that sounds like it's a priority for you. And so what does that look like in order to continue to grow your legacy and build out your business? And I'm assuming your girls probably feel like they're like the most important people in your life, right?
They do.
Which sometimes it's really easy, right, to get caught up. And also, because we were talking before too, just being able to focus and also get back because with children, there's sometimes a lot of added interruptions that happen, right?
Totally.
And so to be present, connected with your children and also being that CEO that's creating that legacy and moving things forward. So you're not experiencing like that, almost like that push or pull. So that your beingness is though in those two places.
Yeah. There was a moment for me years ago when my second daughter was born that I said, I need to create a life of integration, that I can't just be mom over here and CEO over here, that there has to be some type of healthy overlap, that my kids know what I do. They sometimes come with me, that I can, be my CEO, but then I'll also have meetings at my kids over here. And like, I'm also present with them. And with healthy boundaries. So just so we're clear on that. But like I think for me is like I'm not a person that works 9 to 5 and then drops it and then just becomes 100% mom. I'm not that person. I'm all of who I am everywhere I go. And there's different parts of me that are expressed differently in different relationships and situations and everything like that. But I think for me, there was a moment that I decided that what are my values and what am I willing to sacrifice and what are my non-negotiables? Because the truth of it is, if you've reached a level of success, whether you're in corporate, running your own company, or in some form of leadership, I think it'd be a facade to say that there is no sacrifice. But what I would say is that there's things that I don't look at them as sacrifices. I look at them as really conscious choices. I'm choosing. It doesn't feel like, because I think the word sacrifice feels like I'm giving up something to do something, but it has this negative energy to it. Whereas I feel it's like this is a joyful choice. Like I'm joyfully choosing to have dinner with my kids most nights. I'm joyfully choosing to have a support team at home because I'm not doing it all on my own anymore. And I'm really okay with that. And there's no shame around that. And I think it's really powerful for women to share that. Like it's okay to be supported at home. It doesn't make you less of a mom, less of a CEO, or less of a caregiver, or whatever role or title that you choose to take on or play or have and hold sacred to you. So I think for me, I just look at it like, what are the choices that I'm choosing to make? Because, what I don't change, I choose. And it's for me, it's what is the choices that I want to make? What are the values and seasons that I'm in that, when my kids were a little bit younger, my youngest is now 5, she's going to be 6. There was a point within her first 2 years, I wasn't running to scale. I was growing consistently, but I wasn't aggressively scaling my company. And I wasn't trying to speak on every stage. I wasn't traveling and doing all of the things for work. But then when she turned 3, we were hosting retreats and the kids actually came. They had a mini vacation. And then we had a thing after the retreat while we were working. So I found a way to make it work for me. And it doesn't mean that everyone's blueprint is going to be the same, but it's figure out what your values are. Figure out what it is that you want to do. And don't look at it like a sacrifice, but rather a conscious choice that you are choosing to pour your energy into these things that make you happy. And sometimes those seasons will change as things start to ramp up. Everybody knows that sometimes there's points in your career that it's like it doesn't matter what you do, there's no breaks anymore. And you're trying to figure out your new level of success and how to navigate that. And it's kind of clunky getting there. And it's giving yourself some grace in those moments too. And it's just remembering that, hey, you created this thing and there's going to be seasons that it's not always going to be spring. It's not always going to be summer. Sometimes it's going to be fall. Sometimes it's going to be winter and it's going to look different. But overall is when your family is on board with what it is that you're doing and can see it and is benefiting from it. And you're spending those, whether it's micro moments or big moments and really mindful moments with your kids, it can create a really beautiful dynamic for them to see, hey, I have 3 girls. Hey, my mom's going out and she's doing her thing. And that's really empowering for my kids to watch. And I'm excited for them to see what they become in the world. So
I love it, Leah, because you reminded me of what I forgot a while ago. You mentioned reevaluating, which ties in. I think this is meant for me to hear for sure. And you out there, there's somebody that needs to hear this today because you just reiterated that. You just reiterated taking the pause, reevaluating. It's not static, right? And you even mentioned earlier getting to the success and then kind of shrinking back. And while failure can lead to success, success can lead to failure if you haven't wired in those internal voices of who you are and of the consistency to continue growing along the way. And the way you talked about integration, tying that together was so incredibly powerful because we're not separate, right? And when a rising tide raises all boats, we talk about that. We're whole beings. So I would love to know, I would love for you to highlight whatever you would like to lean into that you just spoke on in your amazing TED Talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that it was such a journey for me to go and say, "Hey, I want to do a TED Talk." And I was asked a couple questions before, and they're like, "Hey, would you ever do a TED Talk?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." And I ended up getting introduced to an organizer in California, and then I had just moved back to Laguna Beach. It was called Laguna Blanca School, and there was so many beautiful synchronicities to the fact that I was going to share about when I was pregnant when I was 19. It was really traumatic, abusive relationship that I was in and I came out of. And the production was put on by kids my daughter's age. And it was just this full circle moment of how amazing is it that it just felt like the right time for me to share. So I chat a lot about business growth and all of the different things, but underneath all of that, I just felt this deep calling to share my story that was different than the power woman who moved countries with her kids on her back and packing up all of her stuff and selling it all and making the big moves and doing all the things. And yeah, we can look at that and say that's super awesome. But underneath it, it was like, well, what drove that? And it's a deeper, more meaningful understanding that we all have stories that we're healing from. And for me, that was a big one for me. I was writing a memoir for 2 years and now I'm just revisiting writing it. And I realized that that moment shaped so much of my life. And it also created such a level of impact for me and how I serve people and my level of self-awareness and my level of healing that I just felt the need to share it after coaching thousands of people from startups and just your everyday amazing human being to people doing amazing things in the world, because I think everyone is awesome. And I just think that when you look at those people, and I've coached so many, is like there's always a deep, shameful story that they just can't shake and get rid of. And it's fuzzied up in their identity. And for me, it was like this secret that I could never share. I'm like on these stages, I'm speaking in front of all of these people, but I was never the woman who was ever abused. I didn't want to be seen as that. I didn't want to be seen in that light. I didn't want to share that story. But everything in me felt so called that it was like, if I don't do that, I don't think any of my work is going to make sense at the level that I know it will.
Wow.
Like there will always be something missing if I don't share that message. And I did it and it was scary. And I felt like I did the best that I could. And it was this moment that I like ripped off a Band-Aid and I prepared as much as I could. It was such a different talk for me. TED is so different than what I'm used to. And it was a beautiful experience. And I'm just really grateful for what I feel that message will eventually do through the articulation of podcasts and sharing. And I think there's so many people that are suffering with a story that you would never know.
Wow.
You would never know. And I sat up there and I literally like shook my shoulders and I said, I'm standing here in my fancy pink suit and you would never know.
Yeah.
You would never know. You would never know that I overcame really awful narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse and what that did to who I was as a person at that time. I got physically ill. I was in and out of the hospital. And it just, those are dark things that we don't talk about in humanity. We don't talk about that in growth because it's not as nice. But when we think about your psychology, when we think about how you move through the world and your identity, if we don't mend and clean those pieces of our fabric of our being, not clean is the wrong word. If we don't heal.
Yeah. That's what's coming to
Heal.
me is heal. Yeah.
Heal, then there's always going to be this underlying current beneath all of it. And for me, that
Yeah.
just invoked such a different, deeper level of healing that I thought I did. And then you touch that and you're like, wow, this is a whole new world of healing. This
Wow.
is a whole new opportunity of rewiring your brain and healing from trauma in the
Yeah.
body, in the mind, in the brain, your nervous system. It's
Yeah.
really, really powerful.
It's interesting too, because I'm so glad that you did this. It is an
Yeah,
inspiration, it is an encouragement. And what I've discovered, because we are energetic, spiritual, vibrational beings, I was going to say in these physical bodies, but the truth is, our mass is energy as well, right?
100%.
And so, what I've been discovering on my journey with coaching is that even if I don't say a word, that energy is there. And
Yes.
those people who need what I have to deliver come to me
Yes.
energetically. So
Mhm.
you're really just taking something that energetically and spiritually is already in process, and now you're putting it out there and really leaning into it and no longer being hidden, right? We're
Right.
so often hidden in plain sight.
Mm.
So so great to hear, and I am very encouraged by this.
Oh, thank you, Carol. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
So, as we're wrapping up here, Leah, is there anything else you'd like to leave with our audience today just to support them in their journey and the impact that they get to create and also the legacy that they get to leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I would share is honor your season, honor
Mm,
the season that you're in and connect to what matters, like truly matters for you. Because you can have success in a lot of different ways. And the way that you get to your level of success and fulfillment is going to be different. So evaluate, what do you value the most? Where do you want to spend your time? How do you want to live? Who do you really want to be in the world? Because you can have all of these external things, but not be the person that you want to be. And I think it's so important to take time, connect into yourself, and really choose and make decisions that are in alignment with who you really want to be in the world.
Thank you,
beautiful.
thank you, thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate you both.
And
What is the best way that the audience can connect with you or learn
yeah,
more from you or
yeah,
watch your TED Talk?
that's what I want to
Yeah.
know. How can they get in touch with you? And, this is all for everybody here to be unleashed and unstoppable and moving
Right.
forward in their lives. And so, how can we get in touch?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and you can just go to my website at leahnotariani.com.
Okay, we're going to have this for you in the show notes,
Thank
and
you.
highly recommend that you go watch that TED Talk right away and get to know Leah. And I can't wait to see what you have coming next
Thank
as you
you.
continue to put such beautiful value and such inspiration and impact into the world. Thank you for
Well,
being here.
well, that
Yeah,
has me thinking, like, what is next, Leah?
yeah.
Like, have you thought about like, yeah, stepping into vision and what's up? Yeah, what's up next for you?
Yeah,
Yeah, so just moved to Laguna Beach about nearly a year ago. We just have we have our office here now. We're running events.
so beautiful
Currently
there.
running, yeah, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's a dream. I'm super blessed, really grateful. We're running events. Sometimes we run them every other month here in Laguna Beach. Currently writing a memoir and doing all of the things.
Wow. Wow, wow,
So
wow.
yeah,
That,
it's been good.
that's really awesome. Thank you again for being here. And
Yes.
oh, my heart is full, and I know yours is too, Alex
I
Leanne.
appreciate you both.
Yeah.
And also thanks to our listeners for tuning into another episode and to hear Leah's story.
Yeah.
Invitation is to take a moment, connect with yourself, connect with your being, what's important to you, your values, and what is the vision? And are you living in alignment with that? And some like my invitation is to take action on something that's going to move your
Right.
vision forward today and to
Yes.
Yeah.
spend time each day connecting with that.
Yes.
Ooh, ciao for now. We will see you next week. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
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 Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.